But today we have Kirsten Anderson who's going to talk about workplace harassment and kind of the big picture of that. And Kirsten is a passionate communicator. She found herself in an unlikely advocate and an unlikely advocate for those facing harassment in the workplace after she took a stand against her former employee, the state of Iowa. On May 17, 2013, she was fired from her job after 5 successful years as communications director for the Iowa Senate Republicans, This is really... and she was fired 7 hours after formally complaining about repeated harassment and retaliatory behavior by staff and lawmakers at the Iowa Statehouse. Kirsten sued the state of Iowa and the Iowa Senate Republicans for a wrongful termination and was awarded $2.2 million by a jury of her peers. This rare award sent a message to the Iowa State House that harassment, intimidation, and retaliation is not tolerated in the workplace, especially where Iowa's laws are made. Kirsten has a degree in broadcast journalism from Northwest Missouri State University. She's run a nonprofit, worked as a communication coach and trainer, and managed an award-winning professional development program. She owns Equitas Solutions, a full-time harassment-free workplace consultant. In her free time, Kirsten enjoys sharing the hilarious random things her 9-year-old son says and enjoys live music with her husband. Would you welcome Kirsten Anderson, please?
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. As Connie said, I am on a mission to end workplace harassment once and for all. I want your help, so I'm warning you right now. I'm going to ask a favor of you. But you can help me end workplace harassment once and for all. Because it's 2019, it shouldn't happen. Nobody should have a depressing, vile story like I do that I'm about to share with you. And we have the power right here in Iowa to change workplaces for the better. We do. And all of you have the power. I'm going to talk about how you can all help change workplaces, support others, support victims, and be a positive force in people's lives. Because that's more important now, more than ever, in our divided, polarized society and culture. So I'm really glad that you're giving of your time to listen to me today. I know everyone's very busy. We've got a lot going on. But I hope that I provide some value for you today. I'm going to move very fast. And I want everybody that I come in contact with, everybody that I talk to have very actionable, proactive things that they can walk away from, that they can take back to their own world. So I'm going to talk a lot about what you can do in your own world and how you can make a difference, okay? And afterward, we'll have plenty of time for questions. I brought some cards. If you have a question that you don't feel comfortable talking about in front of everybody else, we can take it offline for another time, okay? So I'll stick around as well. How did I get here? Why did I make my new life's mission about ending workplace harassment once and for all? I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey, and it is a decade long in the making. It's been 10 years. I started in what I thought was my dream job, February 1st, 2008, and that was as communications director for Iowa Senate Republicans at the State House. Now, I say that I thought that this was my dream job because I had previously worked in politics. I started right out of college working for a U.S. Senator in Kansas City, Missouri, and I loved that job. I was 22 years old working in this district office for Senator Christopher Bond, and he would have me, this 22-year-old newbie, this green gal, go out and accept awards on his behalf. I would chauffeur him around. I thought that was pretty cool. And I was respected. It was a small office. And in 2008, when I started at the Iowa Capitol, I thought it would be more of the same. And I quickly realized that it was not. It was not that at all. And I say that because not long after I started working at the State House, I was sexually harassed. And over the 5 years that I worked there, not only sexually harassed, bullied, and retaliated against. Now, I consider myself a career gal. I'm a proud Swede and I'm tough, and I thought I can handle anything, right? I'm a climber. I'm gonna go up through the ranks, and that wasn't the case. I was tempered, I was bullied, and realized that it's not what I signed up for, not at all. It drove me to a place that I felt great shame and guilt and embarrassment over. And part of my journey and why I'm here today is because I am breaking free of that. No more shame, no more guilt. I'm sharing this with you because no one should live that way. No one. And I also want to point out that I'm a rule follower. I followed the rules, I reported, I stood up to my harasser, and I'll say Jim was the primary harasser at our office, a coworker. He's been there for many, many years. But Jim was not the only one. The senators that make our laws in the state participated, knew about, laughed at and with me, laughed at other people, and also did nothing. They did nothing. So I complained. After my third complaint at the State House of Jim's disgusting, vile behavior, and let me tell you, just to paint a little bit of a picture so there's some understanding and some context, Jim was what I call an equal opportunity offender. The sexual harassment I experienced was at times heteronormative, so male on female harassment. But not only that, Jim had a wall of shame. He would cut out newspaper clippings, and they were all about derogatory things about people of different ethnicities, different religions, different backgrounds from him. He would rant about it. Sex jokes were very common, sex jokes at our expense, my coworkers and my expense. He would look at naked pictures on his computer screen and call us over. He would rate women as they walked by. He would brag about essentially lying about his sexual exploitations. It was awful, and it was constant. It was constant. And after my third complaint, that's when the retaliation started. My boss suddenly didn't like my work. I would put a comma in one place. That wouldn't be good enough, so I would move it. That still wasn't good enough, right? He would yell at me, call me names, and it was just bad. It was bad. That's the picture of what I was living with for about 5 years at the Capitol. It drove me to a terrible, terrible place. And I am unfortunately not a unique situation. This is not unique at all. We hear a lot about, in the news, things that are happening with high-powered, high-profile people, like Harvey Weinstein, Les Moonves, Kevin Spacey. But this is happening not just in our boardrooms. This is happening in our break rooms, by our water coolers, in our back rooms, behind bars. At the night shift, the cleaning crew is experiencing. This isn't in Hollywood. Me Too is not happening just in Hollywood. It's happening in Iowa. And I'm here to tell you that all of you have the power to help someone or make a difference just by talking about this issue. And it's a complex one. I'm not going to lie. I liken it to a really nasty, ugly onion. You peel back the layers and there's another nasty, smelly, stinky layer to it. Now, I painted a picture of what my workplace was, and Jim and the senators that I worked for participated and did nothing, laughed about it. Jim went unchecked for years. If we spoke up, we got it 10 times worse, right? One of those types of bullies. And you should all care about this because most of you, if you haven't experienced it in your life, you know someone who has. You know someone who has. Most of the people I talk to, they have a story, or they have witnessed someone experiencing something inappropriate. They may have said and done nothing. And I want to encourage you that those days of going along to get along and being Iowa nice are over. You need to put an end to that. We have the power to support each other. 81% of women have experienced sexual harassment at work, 81%, and 43% of men. Those numbers are staggering. And to top it off, 91% of incidences are never reported, never reported. That really makes me sad because we as Americans spend a third of our life at work. A third of our life. That's roughly 90,000 hours. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. And I'm here talking about sexual harassment, but people are 4 times more likely to be bullied than harassed. That's a fact. Bullying is using emotional intelligence to get what you want. And it's very insidious. People do it all the time. And it has to stop too, right? I did some research because money talks, right? And as I talk to people, people understand, they grasp that concept of putting a price tag on things. And I found that harassment and sexual harassment, there's a price tag on it. In fact, there is a bullying institute. They do research and advocate for anti-bullying measures across the country. But the bullying institute, anti-bullying institute, has put a price tag on the annual cost of lost productivity per employee, and that's $8,800. So you can imagine, corporations don't want this issue on their hands. That's a costly problem. And if you have a harasser who is bullying and harassing multiple employees, that's a costly mistake. That's a costly mistake. So I want you to help me bring this issue out of the shadows. No more Iowa nice. I want you to help talk about it with people that you know and care about. Start a conversation with them. It's simple. Start a conversation with someone that you care about and ask them, what do you consider to be sexual harassment or bullying? Have you ever experienced it? Start with that. Now, when I was going through this really dark time at the Capitol, it drove me to antidepressants, to seek a counselor. It strained my marriage. And I hid it from my husband. I hid it from my family because remember, I'm that tough career gal and I thought I could handle it. When inside I was really just in agony. Just a terrible, call it the dark time, really. And my husband, I'd say, discovered the issue that was going on when I took a phone call at 10 o'clock at night from my boss. And this was